Okay, I want to welcome everybody back, and thank you for your attention. Moshe Chaim here, teaching on the story of our lives, an epic quest for the soul of our tradition, an in-depth elucidation of the lost princess, a tale by Rav Nachman of Breslov, by Reb Yaakov Klein. We're looking to discern from this chapter, specifically, the questions about the lower spheros and how they relate between the 6 days of the week and the Shabbos day. So we have again that in the lessons for life, we're looking to understand how two things. All of life is made up of two contrasting components: the quantifiable measure of external, shallow accomplishment, and a qualitative and inward spirit of depth, purpose, meaning, and vibrancy. And two, while it is possible to maintain an Avodas Hashem that consists of pure action alone, like we can do and do and do, Rabbi Nachman teaches us that Hashem delights in the desire of the heart more than anything else. And who doesn't? Don't we? He relishes the spirit of faith, passion, excitement, and youthful wonder that so animates the halakhic experience. So we left off by comparing some of the psychological manifestations, like for Kesser it was desire, as opposed to the physical manifestations. That would be the skull. The physical manifestation of Chokmah would be the right brain, or psychologically intellect. Bina would be the left brain versus wisdom or intuition. Chesed, the right arm, unrestrained kindness. The left arm, restraint, Gevora. Torso, confidence, truth, that's Tiferes. Netzach would be on the right side, dominance, endurance, sometimes called victory. The left leg, submission, praise, sometimes called glory, that's Hod. Yesod is the area of the Brit. Bris, connectivity, impact, or foundation, and finally Malchus, which is the mouth. Also our mate, the mate to Hashem, the mate to each of us, which would be the receiving part of us, and the wanting to give back what we've received. So if we look at these worldly qualities of the 6 sons versus the 1 daughter, that's where we take off from today. So the 6 sons is the quantity of daily accomplishment, which would, of course, let us know right away that the 1 daughter, of which the king is so forlorn about having sent hastily away in his anger, that would be the quality of our daily living. So the Breslover Mashpi'im teach that when Rabbi Nachman speaks of a king and his 6 sons, this is a reference to 6 of the 7 lower spheros through which Hashem reveals himself to the world. Chesed through Yesod. Chesed, Gevora, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. Sometimes called Zir and better not get ahead here. These are the 7. So as we learn, these 6 traits serve as stained glass windows to allow Hashem's all-encompassing infinite light to express itself in a way that allows it to be better understood. So how else do the spheros allow our soul to express her ethereal essence in a perceivable way? In the same way. These are 6 inborn spheros. The king had 6 sons. Hashem implanted the functional capabilities, the capacities of the lower 6 spheros within the soul of each and every Jew. Specifically, so in the Kabbalistic literature, masculinity is associated with the extroversion and overt influence, such as is the way of man to conquer from Talmud. Perhaps it's possible to suggest that it's because Dinah bas Yaakov was the daughter of Yaakov was originally conceived as a male in Leah's womb and only later switched to a female. In a sense, she was a yatsanas, outfitted with an extroverted nature. because again, you may recall that Yaakov had thought that he was sleeping with Rachel, and no, this comes later. Sorry, this is when when it was realized, Leah realized that she already had 6 sons, and between Rachel and the 2 maidservants, she wanted to make sure that there was another half represented. So she prayed to have, she knew she had a 7th son coming, and she had prayed that that son would turn to be a daughter. So the right row of the Sephardic array, the midos of Chokmah, Chesed, and Netzach, right brain, right arm, right leg, are what we call the male spheros. Chokmah is revealed as the initial burst of intellect in a creative process, Chesed as the unrestrained desire to give, and Netzach as an overwhelming and dominant element in interpersonal relationships. Similarly, taken together as a single unit, in contradistinction with the final Sifra of Malchus, the first 6 of the lower 7 spheros is seen as a masculine force. So again, we see 2 balances here. On one hand, there's the right side, which is male, and the left side, which is female, with the spheros in the middle, serving as a balance point, fulcrum. On the other hand, you can take all the 6 upper spheros and see them as male, and giving to the receiver Malchus, or our life here on earth. In their emotional expression, the spheros from Chesed to Yesod, these are the upper spheros, are the seat of action and accomplishment. What begins as a drive toward unrestrained giving and Chesed culminates in Yesod. We want to give and give and give. The channel, which actualizes this extroverted ambition. In their physical expression, the 6 spheros are external, manifesting in hands and feet. In other words, the 2 legs, these things. The Sphera Yetzirah teaches that the Sefer Yetzirah teaches that these 6 spheros are also related to the 6 directions of the world: north, south, east, west, up, down, and in the directions in which we shake the lulav during Sukkot, which point and extend outward. So you can also find this in Inner Space, page 75. So that's how they manifest the directions. But where are the 7 reflected in this world? Because the 7 lower spheros serve as a general blueprint for our physical reality, they are reflected in patterns of 7 scattered throughout nature. Take note, there are, for example, 7 primary colors of the rainbow, 7 musical notes in the chromatic scale, 7 core wisdoms, 7 metals of antiquity, 7 classical planets, 7 continents, and 7 seas. But perhaps the most familiar expression of what may be referred to as the 7ness of nature is, of course, the weekly cycle of 7 days. As with all of these examples, each of the units in this set of 7 corresponds to one of the lower 7 spheros. For instance, Sunday is associated with Chesed, Monday with Gevurah, Tuesday with Tiferes, and so on. Some notes in the a little bit here. The ayah is also connected here in the footnotes to the Bris Milah, which is performed on the 8th day, and represents man's ability to transcend his physical desires, as well as the 8 strings of the mezuzah, the 8 lights of Hanukkah, and we can think of others. So, how do these reflect? These are the relationships between the 7 lower spheros days of the week. So, in a sense, we can imagine that the first day of the week, Sunday, has more potential for Chesed. It's a day that naturally leads towards Chesed. Whereas on other days of the week, we would need to just exert a little bit more effort. Remember, we are above the forces of nature, but the same astrologically, it serves us well to take into account that these forces of nature exist. They have their purpose, that Hashem planted them, and that in order to maximize their potential, we not only can rise above them, but we can leverage them. So, in light of our characterization of the first 6 of the lower as masculine, marked by extroversion and quantitative accomplishments, it now becomes clear why the Torah labels the first day, 6 days of the week, as the Yemei HaMa'aseh, the days of action. Sheshes Yamim Ta'avod V'asisa Kol Melachtecha. This is from Shemot 28. For 6 days you shall work and do all of your labor. These are the days of external accomplishment, physical improvement, and financial gain. So who are the king's 6 sons? This introduction allows us to understand the nature of the king's 6 sons in our story. And it is important to note how we interpret the maleness on its own, that this characterization and negative connotation we shall explore of this, active, quantitative versus quality. It has a bit of a negative compared to what we're searching for. It refers solely, when viewed on their own, theoretically devoid of a connection to the life-giving energy of Malchus. We can understand the importance here that it's only in the arrangement, in the context of the Spiros, through which Hashem reveals himself to the world. It's not applicable in the same way. The 6 sons may be seen in this manner. When focused toward Malchus, the 6 Spiros are absolutely pulsating with energy. Chesed is bursting with desire to give. Yesod is an active channel which pours forth life force, etc. It's only in the theoretical absence of a connection to Malchus, when we're not connected to this inner princess, this inner child, and the sense of something, some purpose above and beyond, that we see the 6 sons as shallow, lifeless, and outward. Again, the pursuit of just gashmiot, of physical gains. The description that follows is true only in the scenario that plays out to varying degrees in our human experience. And again, I emphasize again and again that we are here in this course and in our lives to overcome that, to use those forces towards connecting to Hashem, to Vekas, bonding to Hashem, and connecting to our inner self, our inner Malchus, queen, princess, prince, inner child. The 6 sons, many in number and extroverted. There are 6 versus the 1, so there's many in the number of them. Their extroverted in orientation represent quantitative, physical accomplishment. External, impressive, grandiose, glamorous. The 6 sons of a person's life represent his collective achievement and calculable success. Financially, these 6 sons manifest in a thick portfolio, expensive cars in the driveways of a few beautiful homes, and money to indulge in the heart's desires. Happiness, however, they do not guarantee. Spiritually, the 6 sons find expression in a great many motions of religious fervor and vast accomplishment in Torah scholarship and halachic observance. However, sadly, we remind ourselves of a true relationship with Bono Shel Olam, with the Master of the world. However, there's no assurance. We can have all the Torah, we can follow all the halakha, we can have all the physical desires we could possibly want, but there's no guarantee, because we live in a physical realm wherein the hiddenness of Hashem and the obscurity of the soul give rise to shallowness and the foolish celebration of transience, of things that don't have lasting essence. The 6 sons are highly respected in this world, but where does that lead us to? Of the 3 dimensions that make up the physical realm, time, space, and the ego, it says space is by far the most tangible. We can see it, measure it, utilize it for our purposes. For instance, the various items it holds in space can be touched, smelled, heard, felt, and tasted. From the perspective of the body's physical eyes, the realm of space, with its delightful palpability, represents the most concrete reality. It is only natural, then, that we would be so keen to glorify accomplishments related to the realm of space, quantity, and tangibility. Where? Indeed, in both secular and religious circles. This triumvirate is where we place the bulk of our focus. Again, when we're looking at time, space, and ego, We want to accomplish more. We want to fill space. We want to have lots of things, even religious things, even Torah knowledge. We want lots. In the realm of the religion, we are quick to evaluate one's spiritual status by outward appearance, level of scholarship, and degree of quantifiable conformance to the exacting stringencies of the law. Need I remind us of the Baal Shem Tov's entry into the world scene, specifically in many ways to combat this and remind us that this is not the essence. Important, but not the essence. Sensitivity, simplicity, humility, faith, prayer, and holy desire, while appreciated, are marginalized and perhaps even degraded. I'll say that again. Marginalized and perhaps even degraded within the system are sensitivity, simplicity, humility, faith, prayer, and holy desire. In the irreligious sector of society, the picture is far more extreme. The value of a person is generally dependent upon his material accomplishments, the model car, career, size of house, attractiveness of family, and other such shallow measures. What do we want to know about others' achievements? Imagine, in the words of Reb Erez Moshe Doran, our physical world is competitive and achievement-oriented. When we meet someone after not having seen him in a while, we ask, what's doing? What we really mean is, what have you accomplished materially? Did you buy something, get a promotion, get another degree, make more money? Do you have a new car, a house, a wife, children? Did you travel, see the world? If he isn't wealthy or still not married, doesn't have children, doesn't have a profession or job, we think, so what's he worth? If he answers, I've just spent a year touring Europe, that sounds impressive to us. But if he says, I just spent a year undergoing an inner process that taught me a great deal about myself and helped me to make major changes in my personality, we respond with a raised eyebrow of disinterest. That's all very well and good, we think, but what did he do? So we can't immediately measure, if we can't immediately measure a person's success and accomplishment, he is sullied in our eyes. Obsessed with the realm of space and the physical things that fill it, we lose sense for the ethereal realm of time and the preciousness of accomplishments which may not register on our rulers' scales and calculators. This is the natural attitude of global society which glorifies the 6 sons of extroversions and calculable gain. Hey, that makes us think, are they even necessary, these 6? So, while the accomplishments of the 6 sons in both the religious and material realms are certainly necessary if one is to fulfill his mission in life, Rav Nachman teaches that it is not the sons who occupy the dearest place by the King of Kings. Who does Hashem treasure? Rather, the daughter was very precious in his eyes, and he loved her very much. He spent much time delighting in her. It is the princess Hashem truly treasures. So we're going to delve a bit more into the one daughter and the quality of daily living. What happened, followed by what happens, what does life look like once the king has sent the daughter away, or in our own cases, in my case, we reach a point usually by around 6 or 7 where the princess just kind of buries herself within us, and what that looks like, and then finally, as we move forward again, what happens as a result of burying the princess within ourselves, up on a shelf somewhere in the back of the closet. Thank you. Continue again soon.